everyone, and welcome to Return to Writing. I am Christina D, and this is my channel for anyone new here. Yeah, I still don't really have an intro. I never really planned one because I never really completely knew where this channel was going, even as an author channel, because I am an author. I do have a book. You can see it in the background. It is published and released. It is a collection of 6 scary stories focused around the fictional town of Dark Pine. It's very Twilight Zone meets Are You Afraid of the Dark. It's really fun. I had fun writing it, I had fun publishing it, and I hope people have fun reading it. You can get it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Dark Pine, Tales of Terror. Read it now. But, as a fan of horror, especially a fan of writing horror and watching horror and playing horror survival games, okay, well, more so watching people play horror survival games because I'm a wimp when it comes to playing them, I am no stranger to considering dabbling in the game dev world. There's just one little problem. I have no experience making a game. I have attempted to use some programs before. I've attempted GameMaker, I've attempted GDevelop. At one point Unity, but with all of the Unity drama, I am not using Unity at all. Unreal, as much as I would love to give Unreal a shot, I have tried it on my current laptop. Realistically, it's not gonna work because it is so laggy. 100% laggy. So let's just say the game development, it always started strong and then kind of fell backwards. I always had ideas for a story and then they became too much. I kept adding on to the story or making it more than it should be. And it just went nowhere. So the games never happened. But recently I've been getting that itch. That itch as a writer to tell a story, but it's a story that a book will not suffice. A book like that or something, or anything else in the background, because I have many books in my room, would work. Like, I've tried dabbling in comics to try some stories out. This isn't one of those times where my combo of art and writing will work in a 2D form, or is a physical 2D form, which is where the screen comes in, where the monitor comes in, where the digital comes in. I want to see, as someone who loves horror, who likes talking about horror, and the importance of story in video games too, as you've seen with my, or at least if you have seen with my dissection of Garden of Banban, or me talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, or even briefly mentioning At Dead of Night in one of my videos, why not see if I can make a horror game? So, I started dabbling. I started looking into different programs. Now, I have very little experience coding. The last time I had to code anything was back in high school. Back in like 2009, 2010, my senior year. And that was for coding like an HTML site. And maybe like once on Tumblr to change a cursor because I wanted to play around with things. But I have very little coding experience. And me with long strings of numbers and letters, especially once you get the numbers in there, me and numbers don't work well. So I am very much someone who appreciates any software that includes visual scripting. Now, I could try Godot, but I have found out that they will be ditching their visual scripting, so I am not going to be using Godot. So I ran into a program called Buildbox, which, very easy, requires no coding. I appreciate that. I started playing around and they have this feature, which is what inspired me to really want to jump into this. And before anyone gets up in arms, I'm going to talk about AI. Buildbox has this feature where you can use AI to generate a game for you. Now, don't worry, I'm not using that game, but my initial thought process was I will see what it can do as far as what I want in a video game, which was a story-driven game, which was very choose-your-own-adventure, sort of point-and-click, and it made it. It made a horror choose-your-own-adventure story that included like a health bar being affected, you can get collectibles, things like that. I was mostly using it to see what it can do. And my initial thought was, okay, I will dissect that, learn from the like skeleton of that visual script, and build off of that. I will strip it of its assets and make something new. And because I was looking at the potential long run of this. I looked into their pricing. My journey with Buildbox has ended there, because Buildbox has ridiculous pricing. I am my own team for everything, whether it be my writing, this channel, everything. Like even my merch shop, which by the way, I opened a second merch shop, which hopefully I will be able to move my designs over to, because I am testing out Fourth Wall, which is a print-on-demand thing that a lot of bigger creators use. They have supposedly really good quality stuff. I'm giving them a shot. I have 2 samples on the way. One of the t-shirts that I have on there that has a little design on the right sleeve. That is on the way for me. I have it in forest. It's a nice like heather green. And a bucket hat, because I like bucket hats. I think they're fun. But that is now linked below if you want to check that out. But, you know, the pricing on Buildbox was ridiculous, to say the least. So I went back to some of the ones I had tried previously and started getting myself reacquainted with GameMaker. And so far I have the very bare basics of, okay, this item I can click and it will send me to another room. Right now that is actually, what am I saying? For a choose your own adventure story, that's really all you need. You click an option, it sends you to a result, which would be another room in GameMaker. And it would just keep going until you got to the end, or an ending, or one of many endings. So, needless to say, GameMaker is looking very, very good. Now, what can I do as a writer who is dabbling in the horror gaming community? Well, I did what I do best. I started writing. I started jotting down ideas, and that's where I went back to the Buildbox bit, which is important because it inspired this whole thing. Because before I looked at the pricing, I started being like, okay, if I'm going to use the skeleton of this game it generated through AI, what am I currently working with? What can I do? What can I use to build off of what's already here? And I created a story. I'm just afraid that the same thing that happened with the other story, because I do have a mascot story, because I was gonna initially go the mascot horror route when I first journeyed into this thought process of making a game months ago with a mascot horror story. It was going to be initially like true like point and click adventure, kind of like old school games, sort of like the putt-putt games, kind of like all those old like point and click, like you point on the screen, character moves, you can click different things and interact with them. But again, I have basically no experience as a game developer. I cannot make that at the moment, so I am starting at the most bare minimum game I could possibly make, which is quite literally click on an option, it sends you somewhere else. So I could try to recycle my original idea, or I could go with the new one, which is still, I guess you could technically say it's mascot horror in a sense, because it is focused around an app or a social media that has, a mascot. And I do have various sort of ways it could go. Or I could go with the amusement park ride. That sort of went, if you've seen the movie Funhouse, it's an older horror movie, sort of that kind of vibe, where it's not necessarily the mascot itself, but something revolving the ride. Something hiding within the ride, and hiding within the costumes and things that are used in this contraption. And it was about a group of teens sneaking into the park because one of their friends was afraid of a certain ride that dates back to like the 80s and whatnot, where they had old animatronics but also mannequins with old costumes on. So it would be like, at one point the ride sort of did what Haunted Mansion used to do and had actors within the ride. So it would be sort of like that. Like they would sneak in and dare each other to stay the night. But it would turn out to be like a prank. The player character would get stuck in there, but that was also back when it was still going to be point and click. Like I was going to have the option to hide behind things like that. I could still do that. But I feel like the app one would be like the social media focused one would be more approachable and an easier thing to put together. Like maybe I will return to, I called it Red to the Rescue because that was the name of the ride in the story, and it was going to be part of a series called Tales from Joyland, and that's joy as in Joye, as in would be like joy as in the name of the creator of these characters. And so maybe like it was going to be focused on different rides each time. So I don't completely know which way I want to go with that, because I mean, while one is seeming, they both are very plausible as far as a choose your own adventure style. So when I say choose your own adventure, I mean, like, again, you choose an option, it sends you to another result. But if you've played a game like Fighting Fantasy, I love that game. It is so much fun. It is very much what I'm essentially attempting to do. It is mostly text-based, so not quite, so kind of a visual novel, but less visual novel-y, in a sense, if you get my drift. Less dating sim, more text. There's illustrations. There are options you can select that send you different results. Some could like affect your like health bar or something. Like maybe there's like a sanity meter or something. I don't know, but it could be fun. So it's like, how do I really take that kind of choose your own adventure and turn it into a horror game? Because again, this is a very text-driven thing. And I am a very text-driven person. I write. I draw. I made my own cover art. Heck, I made the painting that's back there on the wall. I made the cover to my book. I made the illustrations that are in the book. Heck, I made the art that is on these shirts in my shop. Well, shops, actually. If you count the main merch shop, which is a Teespring run shop, which is why I'm trying to move it over to fourth wall, but story for a different day. So, I guess to start off, comment below, which story do you think I should follow? Because I mean, I eventually do want to make both, but there is Red to the Rescue, and the new one, the social media one, that's sort of, I want to say like, sort of like a Parasite kind of deal. Not quite zombie invasion, but sort of, I guess Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of vibe. I call it Hive Mind. That's the working title. It might end up being the final title. But you got Red to the Rescue and Hive Mind. Both are very possible with the choose your own adventure style, but it's a matter of which I want to go forward with. Now, as far as concepts for each version or each story that I want to do, I do have art I'm currently just sort of working on for Hive Mind, because that's where I was thinking of going initially, because I only went the app, like, social media route because the AI for Buildbox started off with a phone-sized resolution. But for Hive Mind, I started making, well, a mascot for, I guess, a character that's sort of like an admin, and that would be Queenie. Yeah? Sort of the queen bee, because it's Hive Mind. And it would be like an app, like it would literally be called Hive Mind. Like that is literally the media that is in there. Like I literally have, I've been sketching up like thumbnails, how I'm gonna be doing like the menu and everything, different scenes, sort of thumbnailing different things. But then there's also Red to the Rescue, which I've already done a ton of character concepts for, because it's it's a mascot horror. So this is a story that takes place in a theme park, an amusement park, in a ride based on characters. So I started making the characters. So this would be Red Retriever, and I have him for like the different decades. And then you have his basically Minnie Mouse type character with Goldie. And then I started like designing his friends. And then his archenemy, kinda. Like his main rival. I guess you could say this would be like the Pete of the series, which would be Fang. And back when this was originally going to be a point-and-click game, this was going to be like one of the first screens, like when you enter the park, and you would choose like the option to go into the park. And then this would be like the first thing you saw once you were in, and you would be able to choose the different directions. Because again, it was going to be just a standard point and click kind of horror game. So, again, both are very possible. I do have a whole story planned out for Red to the Rescue. Like, let's be completely real here. I already have that story planned out. It's outlined in a notebook. It would just be a matter of reworking it for Choose Your Own Adventure and getting the branches. Because with Choose Your Own Adventure, you have choices. It's, again, sort of visual novel in a sense. But you would need those different branches for, like, oh, this would lead to a bad end. This would lead to furthering the story. This would lead to a good ending. This would lead to sort of just a neutral ending where it's just like, oh, you just decided not to do the thing. So you were safe from the start. The story never happened. And, like, one would be like the real ending, one would be like that. I guess, if anything, this is just my first devlog in a sense. But for working out which one to focus on, which is why I'm asking you. Which story do you think I should focus on? The traditional mascot horror, or the social media, like, Parasite horror, kind of Black Mirror vibe, I guess, horror story? Because they're both horror. They are both horror games. Let's be real. I am aiming for that. I am a horror writer. I love horror. So, which do you guys think? Which do you guys want to do? Or which ones do you want me to do? Because I'm the one making it. Comment below. What are your thoughts? And I guess this is the point in the video where I should also be giving the typical YouTuber closeout. So, if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up. Again, comment below with your thoughts on which game story, I should say, I should go with. Subscribe if you want to follow along and see my other content as well, like my video about analog horror, or my one about urban legends, or just any of my videos on here. And I will see you guys in the next video. Oh wait, no, almost forgot. Because I am my own sponsor in a sense. I am a small creator. I don't have big promotions or anything like that. Links to both of my shops, including my main shop, which is the Teespring, and my new one, which is the Fourth Wall. Both are linked below. They are also both linked on my actual channel page. And I do have my book, Dark Pine, Tales of Terror, collection of 6 scary stories. So if you like a Twilight Zone meets Are You Afraid of the Dark kind of combo, that could be right up your alley. There is also an ebook for it, so look out for that. I do also have a poetry book called Poems for Pennies, but you know, get fun stuff. Get fun stuff. Yeah, I will see you guys whenever the next video is, because I do not have an upload schedule, and I planned on making videos sooner, but I did get sick, so I'm finally, for the most part, over it. I'm just getting congestion out of my system, but my energy is back. I am pretty much almost at 100%, so yeah, we're back in action, or at least as back in action as I can be. So I will see you guys whenever the next video is. Bye.